Hello, Livestream Legends! Hello, and welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We have a special edition of Livestream Legends firing up, where we are becoming legendary streamers together. Today we are tackling the 4 vital roles to run a pro stream experience. I've been rocking and rolling in this streaming world for a little over a year now, and I'm sharing all my tips, tricks, and systems directly with you guys. So what we're doing today is covering all of the roles you need to fill in order to have a brilliant, epic stream. So let me know if you're here. Would love to see who's in the chat. Welcome to Livestream Legends, upgrading from noob to pro. If you're ready in the chat, light it up. Let's go. Welcome. Let us see who is in the mix here. Firing up the chat. Ian, good to see you here, brother. My girl Jackie Curley, always in the mix. Appreciate you. As well as Chris Hughes. Good to see you, brother. Marky B in the building. Yo, gotta love it. Look at the early crowd coming in here, ready to rock and roll. Robert Berry back here for the return trip. Good to see you again, brother. We are about to get going on the 4 vital roles of a live stream. That's what we're tapping into today. Welcome to the party. Oh, baby, the room is filling up. Gotta love it. Let me get a few quick hellos here and we'll get started. Adi, the trooper, always in here in the mix. Garen, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for joining. As well as who else we got in the mix? Yo, this LinkedIn is loading up. Jenny Gold, appreciate you coming in here from Denver, fellow Coloradan. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let's get into it. I'm trying to keep these shows a little more tight and concise. So that's what we're going to be tapping into today, is these 4 vital roles of a pro stream experience. So let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. I'm glad you guys are digging the energy. It's been amazing to experiment with this Restream studio and everything I've been toying with over here. So appreciate you guys being along for the journey. What we're going over today is essentially the 4 vital roles that you need to fill for a pro stream experience. And then what we're going over is how exactly to fill those. And I have the secret sauce, you guys. I have been testing and experimenting and doing anything and everything I can to optimize the live stream experience. And these are what we're going to tap into today, is how to encourage having a extremely focused host or any on-air talent that's coming onto your stream, as well as your showrunner or your producer. This is a more of a behind the scenes role, but very critical to make sure that there is a strategic approach to the experience for the user. Third piece we're going to cover today is how to create a community concierge type of role, where their goal is to be as caring and as helpful as possible. This is a big win in the streaming world. And there's one more role here that I'm going to save for the end, just for all of y'all that were thinking of sneaking out of here early. I'm going to make this as concise as possible, so stick around all the way till the end so that you can make sure that you are tapping into that 4th and final role. So let's get into it with the very first one here that we mentioned, which is your host and your on-air talent. This is so critical to invest in because they are essentially the heart of the show. This is where everything comes together. This is the primary impression that people get. So the first thing that you need to do as a host or as you are producing a show for others, this is the most critical thing that you can focus on: your voice, your tone. This may feel a little counterintuitive, but this is actually a more critical than the video content itself. All the research and studies and experience I've seen have proven that having good quality audio is actually more valuable than video. So one of the things that you can do to emphasize is the amplifying your tone, your voice. So again, amplifying is just turning something up. So you don't need to do anything that you wouldn't normally do, but what you do need to do is crank it up a little. So lean into those moments of emphasizing your tone of voice so that it comes through on the stream as clear as possible. You want to focus on pronunciating, that's even a word, pronouncing things right, or saying real words that actually exist. That always helps. But this is going to be a powerful focus point for you. Rather than worrying about all the fancy stuff that shows up on screen, worry about how your voice and how your tone and your personality is coming through in your voice. That is going to be a huge win. Or if you're producing a show for others, obviously encourage your host or whoever you're bringing on air entirely. So, Senor Payasada in the building. Glad you guys are enjoying this. Good to see you, Ian. Good to see everybody rocking and rolling. Charlie Powers in the building. Let's keep it rolling here. We're tapping into the 4 vital roles of running a pro stream. The next thing that you need to do and make sure your host or your on-air talent is doing is to connect with the audience right here. You got to connect with the audience as often as possible. And this is a little bit of a tricky balance because there is an overkill point where if you're just literally in the chat the entire time, you can't get through the content of the show. And then vice versa. If you have an interview that you're just focusing on the guest for 45 minutes straight and don't even look at the chat or recognize somebody, this is going to be a not ideal stream experience from the viewer end. So see how you can trigger that feedback loop and connect with the audience as often as possible in relevant moments. So amazing to see new people hopping in here. Michael Woods in the building. Good to see you, brother. So we are going to continue with this first role. Your host and your on-air talent. This is your heart of the show, essentially. And what I've really learned and discovered in this role is being present, being mindful in the moment here is actually more valuable than planning and preparing and doing everything that you can ahead of time because of the X factor, the randomness in the live stream environment. It's actually far more feasible and far more valuable to focus on simply being able to be present in the moment. This is going to work way better than just prepping the entire show minute for minute, scripted word for word. That stuff is most likely gonna fall apart. So that's a high value focus point, is prioritizing being present rather than over preparing and over planning. So keep that in mind for your on-air talent. And as Michael Woods just mentioned here, free flow still requires structure. This is absolutely true. And what we've gone over in prior shows, as far as developing your show, is giving yourself bumper lanes. This is a really valuable tool to keep the show on track, and you have clear segments that need to happen, but minute for minute, you don't need to have every single thing planned. Brilliant commentary to throw in there, Michael. Staying flexible, staying mindful is going to be your best bet. And now the last piece is making sure anybody that's with you is comfortable. And this could be a guest that's coming on the show, or if you have an ensemble or a co-host type of thing. We're all humans. We can pick up on vibes. So if there's ever some type of awkward tension, or if somebody's uncomfortable or confused, that's going to come through on the stream experience, and it's going to degrade the experience. So what you want to do is make sure that your guest or anybody that's on air with you is as comfortable as possible. They're understanding what's kind of going to happen on the show. They understand when they need to jump in, what's expected of them. As long as they're comfortable, it'll come through and you guys can let it roll. So keep that in mind of how you can ensure before the show and during to make them as comfortable as possible. And this will create a positive energy that people are pulled into, especially if there's good chemistry between that guest or the co-host. So keep that in mind as we get rocking and rolling. What I am seeing is the showrunner role, which is essentially the producer in many contexts, who's actually running the show, can really simplify things and make it straight and narrow. This is a super valuable focus point where the executive producer, who kind of manages all of the guests and the bookings, all of that in the traditional media realm, that's usually going to be the same person that's running the show. In this case, we call them the showrunner. That's who's clicking on all these fancy things to go for like this and change all the scenes, and to manage the guests as well. This is a vital role to make sure that the show is simplified. This is the first piece we're going to talk about here, and you've probably seen this for those of you that have been joining me on a recurring basis. Is I am all about simplifying to be as effective as possible. And what this really does is it helps you minimize the total number of things that can actually go wrong. So if you're super short and narrow about we only have 3 scenes, we're going to jump back and forth between, it makes it very easy to get through the show without overcomplicating things. So keep that in mind of how the producer can minimize the total things that need to be happening. The other key piece here, jumping into number 2, set clear goals for the stream. Have an actual game plan of what the audience is supposed to do, where the guests are supposed to be, what they're going to say and do. As long as there are clear goals for the stream, whether it's conversion, it could be entertainment, it could be education, just make sure that they're clear to you, the audience, and anybody that's participating in the stream. Super easy way to just keep everybody on track and pushing towards the same exact thing. And you'll really see this is valuable, especially for conversion-based streams where the goal is to convert somebody into a mailing list or a community or a webinar or something. Having that clarity from the start is going to be a big win. Let me say hello to the man, Reggie. Hello, good to see you, brother. Glad to see you hopping in here. Kelsey Lips in the building. Majida Gibson. Thank you guys so much. We are chatting about the vital roles to run a pro live stream experience. So we're jumping into step number 3 for the producer, or the showrunner, they're often called. And this is where everybody that's involved needs to have clear roles. So if you have guests, if you have a host, if you have people supporting with promotion and the concierge role we mentioned, they need to know what are their tasks, what jobs need to be done by them. This will be again, clarity is a big win. So Jason Bryant, thank you so much for hopping in. I see you jumping in over on YouTube. Everybody that is watching over on YouTube, please drop just a quick little comment. Let me know you're here, as well as the lurkers on LinkedIn. I can see that you're there. Just drop a quick little comment. Let me know where you're coming in from. Would love to see who's in the mix with us each week. So let's keep it rolling as we are leveling up to become Livestream Legends together. Number four for the showrunner and producer is to make sure that you simplify things with a run of show notes or checklists that you can keep on your end. This makes things very simple to know that stuff doesn't slip through the cracks when you get pulled into the heat of the moment of the show and you get distracted by comments and all these fun things. Those are very easy to send the show off the rails, and then by the end of the stream you realize you forgot to do X, Y, or Z. In this case, a very simple run of show or checklist will keep things simple. You can keep your sanity as you run the show. So as we've alluded to, we actually do have a community of streamers, of all kinds of individuals that are essentially creators and content creators of all kinds. And what I'm doing is trying to build out a community of resources and collaboration and people that can all join together. So I just dropped a Discord link in a few of the channels. If anybody's on LinkedIn, if you could drop the Discord link for me, that would be amazing, because Restream doesn't post on it. So let's keep it rocking and rolling into the third role. The third role, which is one of my favorites, the community concierge, which is so relevant because I am just now leveling up in this category and finally investing into this role, and I've seen a dramatic difference. So what the concierge does is exactly as it sounds, is they essentially they become the welcome mat for your stream. They can basically be the similar to what a concierge does at a hotel or at an event. They are there for everything that you need that's not stream related. So their first role, which you can see the lovely Jackie and Teresa are actually here in the chat. These are the concierge, beautiful, brilliant women that I have set up for these streams to not only help you guys, but to also help me as a producer, as the host of this. This is super vital. So their role is to welcome any chatters and lurkers as well. I know you lurkers are still out there. I know you still haven't jumped in the comments. Just jump in there real quick. Give a little hello. I see all the lurkers. But the concierge can help make people feel welcome so it's not a dead room, essentially. This could be a really big problem with early streams, is the room is just kind of dead and nothing's happening. So this is a brilliant way to avoid that, is by filling this concierge role. And the second piece of this role is to have essentially a backup net for when and if people are dropping questions or they're dropping a really good comment that I happen to miss. That's a brilliant way to make sure that the concierge can make sure that questions are addressed or bumped back to the top if I'm missing something, or just to simply make people feel heard and recognized. Once you hit a certain point of comments or volume of comments, it becomes very difficult to literally see everything. So the concierge can help make people feel welcomed, agree with comments, exactly like Teresa's doing in here. She's saying, Marky B, we love you. Indeed, we do. You just need to make people feel special. Like these very special people like Jacob Schwer. He's a very special individual indeed. Sometimes they just need some love. Just a little bit of love and attention, and this concierge role, you'll see, is a brilliant way to make sure you can make everybody feel like they're part of the adventure. So let's tap into another critical piece of this role where which I actually just utilized a moment ago, and that's for them to share links and resources or any calls to action that need to be dropped in the stream. So as I'm running the show here, I have to switch between these cameras. I got to go through these slides. I got to try to keep track of chat. And every once in a while, I literally jump in the comments. But for the most part, it would be extremely difficult for me to type and drop links in real time. So having this role filled not only saves you time, it gives all the rest of the viewers a better experience, so that I don't have to stop for a second and be like, oh, wait a minute, Michael just asked a question, let me go typing, and then okay, and then I'm back. If I had to keep doing that over and over and over throughout the show, it's gonna degrade the experience. So tap into what creative ways the concierge can support you with links, concierge, all that stuff. And you'll have brilliant volunteers that just pop up like this. Kelsey, appreciate you as always. But this is a really critical role. So the last piece to consider here is how we can provoke chat and engagement. This is, again, a really big concern for new streamers. They feel awkward if there's not a whole lot happening in the chat. So what the concierge or any community supporters can do is make sure there's not only people present in the stream, but also active conversations rocking and rolling. So asking critical questions, sharing their own advice, or just simply letting people know that they are loved. And Robert Berry's asking here, what if you're a solo act? And we actually have a prior episode of Livestream Legends, I believe it was last week's, of how to host and produce a show at the same time. So if you are curious about that, Robert, we actually have an entire episode on exactly that. So today we're hitting the opposite end of the spectrum of if you want to create a pro experience and make it as top-notch as possible, these are the roles that you want to fill. So there is hope. I do realize many streamers are just rocking and rolling solo. I was doing that for about a year straight, so trust me, I know the struggle, brother. But we actually do have a full episode of that if you want to check it out on the Restream YouTube. I think you will get some brilliant insights for a solo show. It is actually a lot easier than you think. A lot of it is just about systems and really minimizing the total number of things that can go wrong. And that'll make your life much better, both as a producer and a host. So we did have a fourth and final role that is very vital to a live stream, and many people underestimate it. And this fourth and final role is the audience, the chat, as all the the cool Twitch streamers call it, the chat. This is actually the fourth pillar of a show that can make or break your show. If you have a toxic chat of trolls and spam and all this stuff, it's gonna be a poor stream experience. And on the opposite end, you could have a very boring on-stream production, but if the chat is on fire, having a brilliant time, it might be an amazing stream. So this is one of the key things you want to keep in mind of is curating your audience and who is coming to the party the same way that you would want to focus on inviting a core group of relevant people and friends to a party. The same thing applies to when you're running a stream. That first core group, those loyalists that you have, they're going to set the tone for what type of chat, what type of conversations, what type of vibes going on. And you'll see that this becomes infectious, both directions, in a positive way and in a negative way. But so what you want to steer towards is how to curate these brilliant, high engagement, positive chat environments. And that's the ideal state. In a not ideal state, it would be filled with all kinds of toxic people, very rude comments, spam links all over the place. If somebody jumps into your stream and that's all they see, they're going to be like, yo, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. The same way if you walked into like a party or a bar or a restaurant and it was just chaos and it was just loud and people were fighting, you're just like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of this. So try to think of the opposite of how you can cultivate these brilliant people. And this is where I'm so grateful for the community and the supporters here, because they really set the tone of positive energy and support in a way that I have not seen ever before. So Junaid Ahmed, good to see you hopping in on YouTube. Any of you lurkers, we are just finishing up the first part of the presentation. Would love to know if you're here in the mix, if you're just joining us, please jump in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. But we are chatting about the fourth vital role in a stream experience, which is the audience. And the other piece to really think about here is encouraging a consistent feedback loop. A consistent feedback loop. This is something that I need to and want to continuously get better at, because I have like a front end kind of portion of the show doing like, hey, what's up? How you doing? What's up? How you doing? And then I do pretty good at the end as well when we open up a Q&A. But the ideal stream is going to have a consistent feedback loop between you and the audience over and over. So you can ask quick little questions let me know if you're still hanging with me, drop some fires in the chat or something fun like that to just cultivate a feedback loop. Ask super simple questions where people can just jump in and continuously be a part of the experience. And one of the things to remember in this feedback loop is immediacy. So as soon as somebody asks a question and jumps in here, you want to jump on top of that as quick as possible. Don't let something get neglected and get pushed further down. If you can, try to jump in as soon as possible and answer that question. And what this is going to do is encourage that feedback loop. Whereas if somebody came in here and asked a brilliant question and it was ignored for 15, 20, 30 minutes, they might not ask another question. They might not even be on the stream anymore by the time you answer it. So I'm attempting to get better at this without completely detracting from the show, but it is a sneaky balance to make sure your audience is comfortable in a feedback loop. Simon, good to see you in the mix, brother. Ian still rocking and rolling, breaking the chat record. I see you, brother. Thanks for all your activity today. Michael Woods, thank you so much. Let's keep it rolling here to a critical piece of this. We were just talking about rewarding positive behavior. This is a way to emphasize having a better audience or a better chat. Whenever somebody jumps in here, just like Kelsey a moment ago jumped in here, she was helping me drop some links, and she said, "Hey, I'm happy to help with whatever you need." I threw her up on the chat screen real quick for a quick little thank you to be like, "Yo, I see you. I appreciate you. You rock." And rewarding positive behavior as consistently as you can is going to be a big win. So what you can essentially do is anytime you see a moment like this, either highlight it on the chat, highlight it literally on the stream, like exactly like some of the prior comments, and you can actually encourage people. Love to feel like they're special or part of the stream. So think of the creative ways that you can do that whenever it happens. Now, this last fourth piece of the vital role is, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have learned this vital internet rule. Do not feed the trolls. I repeat, do not feed the trolls. The larger your streams become, the more likely the trolls are going to crawl out from under their bridge and start bothering you. So the easiest and best way to get through this is to just simply never feed the trolls. If somebody comes in and starts making a very negative experience for everybody in the room, you need to either just moderate it very quick. You can mute people, you can kick them out. If you have mods in the chat, make sure they're on top of getting those people out of there as soon as possible. But in most cases, they'll simply be trying to stir you up or stir up some type of engagement or reaction in most cases. So 99% of the time, it's best practice to just simply roll straight past them and don't let that detract or stop the stream. In some cases, very rare cases, you can address it, say something funny, try and approach it with some humor, and just move on. But the more you feed the trolls, the more they're going to come back, and then the more the other trolls are going to see that and start coming back. So I heavily encourage you, not only in streaming, but in all forms of content creation and social media, don't let that get to you and simply roll past it without feeding the trolls. So vital, but let's keep it rocking and rolling of how we can tie this all together, and then we'll jump into a quick Q&A for all of you guys. And ultimately, the best way to think about this is considering your stream an experience. Think of all of the physical in-person events you've been to, from big festivals to large having some dog issues here. Tika. Well, ignore the snorting dog. This is the risk of live stream environments. Gotta love it. So setting your stream as an experience. Ronan is loving the dog action. So sometimes it happens, folks, just roll with it. But this is a brilliant way that helped me think about how to build streams as a high level production. And essentially, the actual way I think of it is thinking of like club events or music festivals. For a while back in my music days, this was a way that my mindset was framed. So I often like to think of my streams and my shows similar to that, where you can essentially set up multiple points or segments throughout the show. And this is one of those brilliant things that you can it really reshapes your perspective of thinking of your stream as an experience rather than just a single little webinar or presentation is often how they're thought of. So think of how you can combine these roles to essentially set a vibe. What is the host doing when they jump on? What is the concierge doing when they come on? These are all critical pieces of running an event or high-level things. So combine these roles and be strategic about it. You'll see massive success in combining these with strategy. So the other piece to consider now, number 2, is more of a mindset and psychology thing to understand perfection simply isn't possible. No matter how much you plan, no matter how many noise reduction things you have on your audio, something might go wrong, like a dog coming right underneath the mic and snorting. Little things like that are part of the experience. So rather than stressing about having the perfect stream, you have to realize it's never going to happen. I'm sorry, as amazing as that would be, it's never going to happen. There's no such thing as a perfect stream. So that's a vital thing to understand, is rolling and adapting and just simply optimizing over time. This is the much better mindset to have. And what's brilliant about this is your audience and the community can actually have a brilliant effect on this in the long run, because they feel like they're part of the journey. So they actually not only do they're most of the time they're okay with it. People don't care. I saw most of the people here were laughing like when that happened, even though I stress about it. Most people don't care. And then even better, a lot of people love it because of the authenticity. So obviously you don't want to intentionally have a sloppy stream. But in most cases, the little blips that you're talking about is not ideal. It's really, you're never going to have an ideal, perfect show. Just don't worry about it. Roll with the blows and just continuously optimize over time. Anything that happened this stream, slightly upgrade it next round, but never expect a reaching perfection. So the last piece here is really just a high level thing to keep everything and everyone on track. And this is to simplify your tools and your systems that you have available. This is the best way to keep everything on track, minimize errors, and ultimately keep a clean show that also has a little bit of flexibility, so that if 1 minute goes wrong, the rest of the show's off track. You want to simplify with simple systems and tools that don't overcomplicate things. A lot of what I see is people wanting to add this and have 12 OBS scenes and transitions and this and that and guests going in and out. The more stuff you add, the more likely it's gonna go wrong. So simplify your tools, simplify your systems, and as always, my recommendation for doing that is to tap into Restream. This entire show is supported by Restream as well as ran on Restream Studio. So anything that these guys are talking about is really they're ahead of the game as far as simplifying how to jump into things. So that's what I really want to encourage you guys to think about, is how you can simplify your tools, simplify your systems, and in most cases, simply rolling with Restream Studio is going to be a brilliant choice. So if you are curious about starting the journey, there is actually a Restream Studio link that you can join that's here in the description. So it's super, super easy to get started. It's free to get started. I heavily encourage you to at least start the journey today and optimize time after time. You will eventually level up. So that is technically the end of the presentation side of the show, but we are going to open it up to some Q&A. I saw Charlie was asking, where's the music at? Brother, I got you. It's here for the front end of the show and the end of the show. But all of the presentation is more for silence. So we got a little background music just for my boy Charlie. Everybody here in the chat, we have entered the Q&A version of the show. Please jump into the comments of of if you have a real question. This one, I don't know if the world will ever know, Ronan. If anybody knows the true answer, we're getting to the real deal here. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Let me know if there's a real answer to that. And this, Pedro's asking a good question. Why Restream versus StreamYard? So there's a wide spectrum of needs for what people really want. And in most cases, I'll admit, they're usually equally capable. But what I love about Restream is the level of advanced production you can do with the simple studio. So Restream is way ahead of the game of everybody else as far as adding features like background music. Is a brilliant feature that they've recently added. These motion-based backgrounds. Let me see if I can pull up the little like animated, there's like an animated background that you can, there it is, there's a little bit of it in the back. They've added motion and video and animated backgrounds, as well as overlays and the fancier stuff that you can add. They have super smooth animation, but ultimately what brought me to it was the two different ways that you can stream through Restream, and one of which is what I'm doing right now, which is in Restream Studio. It's very simple to click and change and do everything in the moment and in a web browser. And when I want to do the very advanced, very high level streams, this is one of those things that I can now switch to OBS, which is a much more advanced streaming software, and then plug in my same exact Restream account, Restream code, the RTMP feed. So I actually have full flexibility from, if I want to do super advanced high level streams, I can roll with Restream OBS plugging into Restream. And then if I want to do the more simple, concise stuff, or like what I'm running now, I jump over to Restream Studio. So that flexibility for me is what I really wanted and needed. So let's jump into the next question. Let me see what we got here in the chat. Again, y'all, we are in the open Q&A section. Today, we've gone over the 4 vital roles of a pro stream experience. So what we're chatting about now is open Q&A. And yes, Majida is asking about the music. So there are some brilliant options here, Majida. The internal tool I was talking about here. Here, let me go. I'm going to get a little crazy here with a screen share. So this is going to be a live screen share of what I see on my end when I'm running these streams. So Majida, you actually can add a source here and add a background music. And this is actually all copyright free background music that you can see or that you can use without any dilemma, any problems of getting, I guess, copyright strikes or any of that stuff. Alternatively, there are a lot of record labels now releasing copyright-free music. which is super interesting to see really high-level good music labels that are approaching this. And then the last option you have, Majida, for audio and music is Stream Beats. Streambeats.com has an archive of copyright-free footage and audio and everything you would need to add to a show for your use. It's going to be a brilliant way to tap into building a vibe and building experience. I've discovered music really can set the tone of what direction things go, and you'll see that it makes a dramatic difference. But the copyright issue is a recurring concern. So let's see. We got a couple more minutes, folks. Sneak in a question if you can. We are wrapping up the show here in a little bit. But yeah, Michael Woods, as he's mentioning, bringing independent artists is also another option that you can pursue. So think of all the creative ways that you can get music that you want to set that vibe. Again, we were talking about building a world, building an experience for people, and music is a brilliant way to do that. So I do encourage you all to explore those options and give it a test. But I see we are reaching the end of the line, folks. I believe we have hit all of the open questions. We've tackled the 4 vital roles of a stream today. Let me just show you guys real quick for anybody tuning in. What we've gone over today is 4 vital roles. First one was hosting and the on-air talent. Make sure they are on their game, focused, and ready to go. You want to make people as comfortable as possible. We went into the showrunner, the producer, how they can be as strategic as possible with their systems. And this really gives you a clear lane to operate within. Think of how you can do this for your shows. And then number 3, one of my favorites, implementing a community concierge. This can be so brilliant for that first piece we mentioned of having a very focused host and producer. When you have a concierge, people can feel like they are part of something special and welcomed, and it really just sets a better vibe for the show. And then primarily this last piece we went into was how the audience can set the tone of your show. So that's essentially the 4 roles that you want to consider as you're developing a pro stream experience, because when you have all 4 of these operating in unison, you will see the quality of your productions and the quality of your audience and viewer experience level up. So that's essentially all we've got today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna let this music roll out, but thank you for joining another episode of Livestream Legends. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Majida. Oh man, who else we got in the mix? Thank you, Ronan. Thank you, Jackie. Chris Hughes, appreciate you stopping by, brother. As well as all the amazing people. Senor Beasada, appreciate you hanging. Michael Woods, thanks for your active engagement today. I notice and appreciate you, brother. Junaid Ahmed in the building, the legendary streamer in his own right. Good to see you here. Charlie, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the line. Thank you for joining Livestream Legends. We'll see you next week.